Sleeping Beauty is cherished as the pinnacle of Disney's artistry and romantic fantasy. Yet, beneath its elegant, medieval facade lies a chilling narrative rooted in unrelenting fate, medieval paranoia, deep religious symbolism, and the terrifying concept of free will versus destiny. Discretion is highly advised. We are penetrating the cursed hedge of the Forbidden Mountain to uncover 10 dark secrets that reveal the film's complex, mature, and often disturbing subtext. Let's begin. Dark psychological and ethical conflicts. 1. The ethical failure of royal agency and responsibility. The film's entire tragic premise rests upon the profound ethical failure and irresponsibility of the royal agency, specifically King Stephen and Queen Lee. Maleficent, a powerful known entity to the celebratory feast. This lapse in judgment, rooted perhaps in arrogance, oversight, or disdain, unleashes a devastating curse upon their only child and the entire kingdom. The kingdom's collective suffering is not arbitrary. It is a direct consequence of the king's social and political miscalculation, highlighting the heavy price of royal negligence. The king then responds to the curse with extreme paranoia and destruction, ordering the burning of all spinning wheels, effectively erasing a crucial part of his subjects' economy and domestic life. This demonstrates a panicked, destructive response to fate, proving that the king is willing to sacrifice the well-being and livelihoods of his people to protect his personal interest, Aurora. The entire conflict is thus rooted in human error and the abuse of royal power. 2. Maleficent's existential motivation, the absence of love. Maleficent's malice is unique among Disney villains because it is driven by a deep existential void, the absence of love, recognition, and belonging. She is not motivated by greed for a kingdom or a throne, but by the profound insult being excluded. The curse is an act of extreme narcissism and emotional retaliation, a demand to be acknowledged as a powerful entity, even if that acknowledgement must be rooted in fear. Her true torment is her utter inability to experience or comprehend genuine, selfless love, which she recognizes as the only force capable of defeating her. She hates the idea of joy and celebration because it highlights her own agonizing isolation. The curse she casts is essentially a projection of her own emotional state, a life suspended in cold, permanent isolation and sleep. 3. The fairies' moral ambiguity and neglectful guardianship. The three good fairies, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather, are the film's supposed protectors, yet their guardianship is fraught with moral ambiguity and profound ethical neglect. They hide Princess Aurora for 16 years, which is a massive act of emotional and identity suppression. They actively choose a life of isolation and deception, robbing Aurora of her royal heritage, her parents, and her destiny for a temporary, flawed solution. 16th birthday, violating their own rule of living without powers, is driven by convenience, not wisdom, and directly betrays their safety plan. The glitter trail they leave is an act of catastrophic negligence, providing Maleficent with the exact path needed to track Aurora down. Sentimentality, and a failure to adhere to the gravity of their mission. Biological realities and the dark laws of nature. 4. The cursed sleep as psychological death. The sleeping curse is often romanticized, but it is, in reality, a form of psychological death or suspended animation. When Aurora touches the spindle, her life and consciousness are not terminated, but permanently halted in a state of eternal paralysis. This fate is arguably crueler than death, as it involves the total erasure of agency, time, and experience, yet the body remains a vulnerable vessel. This curse reflects medieval paranoia about disease, paralysis, and the inability to distinguish between death and a deep coma. The true horror is the permanence of the unconscious state, which can only be broken by an external force, true love's kiss, meaning the victim is utterly powerless over their own fate. The entire kingdom shares this suspended state, highlighting the curse's contagious, destructive power and turning the world into a massive, frozen tomb awaiting revival. The cursed sleep is the ultimate symbol of life without freedom. 5. Maleficent's transformation and the power of chaos. Maleficent's final transformation into a massive, terrifying dragon is not merely a cinematic spectacle. As the forces of goodness try to use structure and order magic shields and swords to fight her, she transforms into a creature of raw, untamed power, a beast of fire and scale, embodying the destructive force of irrational hate. This transformation signifies her total rejection of humanity, societal norms, and even her own elegant form, in favor of becoming a monstrous, elemental force. The dragon is a classic mythological symbol of evil, representing the antithesis of Christian virtue and order. In this form, she is not fighting a political battle, but a spiritual war against the forces of light and order. Prince Philip. The imagery reinforces the notion that ultimate evil is formless, destructive, and capable of assuming the most terrifying natural shapes to enforce its will. 6. The lack of Aurora's agency and free will. Aurora is often cited as the most passive of the classic Disney princesses. Her complete lack of agency and free will, her entire life, from her birth and name to her isolation and her eventual waking, is dictated entirely by external, malevolent Maleficent or benevolent the fairies' forces. She is a pawn in a metaphysical game of fate versus magic. She is cursed as an infant, raised under a false identity, and then, immediately before the curse takes hold, she is forced to abandon the only person she truly loves, Prince Philip / Prince Charming in disguise by the fairies. Her destiny is predetermined by prophecy and magic, not by her own choices, making her existence a tragic commentary on the concept of rigid fate. Even the kiss that saves her is orchestrated, not spontaneous. She is a beautiful, tragic object passed between forces, never a true actor in her own life, which raises uncomfortable questions about her consent and autonomy. The threat of civilization and the ending 7, the profound isolation of Prince Philip's quest. He is the only character who maintains a sense of active agency, fighting against an enemy that relies on magic, fate, and fear. His isolation is emphasized when he is captured and imprisoned by Maleficent, where he is utterly alone, tormented by the cruel knowledge that his love is being held captive. His escape and battle are existential. They are fought not with an army, but with the simple weapons of medieval man, a sword and shield given magic by the fairies, underscoring the spiritual nature of his struggle. He is the designated champion of mankind and free will against the overwhelming power of destiny. His quest suggests that the ultimate responsibility for defeating true darkness rests upon the courage of the individual. 8. Maleficent's prison, the psychological torture of hope. Maleficent's method of tormenting Prince Philip while imprisoned in Forbidden Mountain reveals a deep understanding of psychological torture. She does not simply kill him. She reveals to him that she will wait 100 years until he is an old, decrepit man, and then release him to kiss the sleeping Aurora. This act is designed to systematically destroy his hope, which is the very foundation of true love. She aims to break his spirit by showing him the victory he desires, but placing it perpetually out of reach until it is meaningless. This form of psychological warfare is far darker and more malicious than physical injury, aiming at the total annihilation of the soul. She understands that enduring the curse of time, knowing the prize but being unable to grasp it, is the most potent form of suffering. Maleficent's cruelty is not merely physical. It is calculated and deeply psychological, attempting to turn the power of true love into a lifelong agony. 9. The ancient fear of the spinning wheel and technology. The entire curse is focused on the spinning wheel and its sharp spindle, which served as a potent symbol of ancient fear regarding technology and progress. In the medieval world, The spinning wheel was a relatively new piece of machinery that dramatically altered women's labor and the domestic structure. The film taps into the inherent human fear of technology, something useful that can also be deadly. The spindle is a mechanical device used for creation that is corrupted by magic into an instrument of destruction. King Stephen's panicked response, ordering the destruction of all spinning wheels, is a metaphor for Luddism and the attempt to stop technological change through fear and repression. The tool itself is innocent. It is the curse that corrupts it. This theme highlights the human tendency to blame the technology rather than the malicious force that wields it, sacrificing progress for a fragile sense of safety. 10. The Christian allegory, a spiritual warfare. The film, particularly in its final sequence, functions as a clear Christian allegory of spiritual warfare. Maleficent, the embodiment of evil, is defeated by Prince Philip, the champion of virtue and love. Philip is essentially armor-clad, using the shield of virtue and the sword of truth given by the good fairies to battle the forces of darkness. The battle is positioned as a religious struggle, with Philip representing Christ/St. George, battling the dragon, Satan/evil. The final act involves the sword piercing the dragon's heart, a symbolic death of pure evil. The resurrection, Aurora waking, is achieved through the true love's kiss, which serves as a secularized symbol of grace and redemption. This underlying spiritual structure gives the film a profound, serious subtext, framing the fairy tale not as a simple adventure, but as a cosmic battle between the forces of absolute good and pure, demonic evil. The film's elegant visuals disguise a deep theological struggle. Conclusions so, these were 10 dark secrets of Sleeping Beauty. The film's true genius lies in its handling of fate versus free will, profound psychological isolation, and its structure as a spiritual war between pure light and pure, ancient darkness. This animated masterpiece is a complex reflection on human error and the terrifying cost of destiny. Which dark truth about Maleficent's spiritual torment shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. Please like and subscribe for more deep dive cinematic secrets. Thank you for watching, and beware the spindle of destiny.